Will everyone please stand and remain standing for the playing of our national anthem. You may be seated. Good morning. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all students, family, and friends to this outdoor ceremony for the class of 2020. My name is Rick Nickerson, principal of Glenwood Community High School. It is my honor to lead this celebration for this outstanding class. The saying goes, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Here you are on the final step of your K-12 journey. No one said it would be easy, and no one said there would not be obstacles to overcome. I'm pretty sure they never said you'd miss out on the final moments of the journey or be a part of a global pandemic, but we're here. And we're Rams United. The journey each of you took looked different in many ways. Some were effortless, others have had detours and alternate routes. None of that matters now. That section is in your rearview mirror, and you must focus your eyes on the journey ahead. I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to be on the journey with you as you and all the staff members you worked with along the way. It's always bittersweet when graduation comes. Some are ready to move on, and others want one more day. For all of you, today is your day. Celebrate, be proud, be sad, but always be Rams United. Welcome to your graduation, class of 2020. I would like to take a moment to introduce Glenwood Community School District's Board of Education. Mr. Kurt Becker, President, Ms. Elizabeth Richardson, Mr. Tim Becker, Mrs. Ann Steyer, and Mr. Greg Schultz. I would also like to recognize the district leadership team, Mr. Devin Embray, Superintendent of Schools, Mrs. Cindy Menendez, Director of Special Education, Dr. Chad Lang, Director of School Improvement, Mrs. Sherry Heron, Principal of Northeast Elementary, Mrs. Jeannie Wickham, Principal of West Elementary, Mrs. Heidi Stanley, Principal of Glenwood Middle School, Mr. Jed Taylor, Director of Technology, Mr. Jeff Beeson, Activities Director, and Mr. Corey Foss, Associate Principal. I would like to take a moment to recognize any past board members who may be present. Please stand and be recognized, and thank you for your service to our district. At this time, I would like to have Mr. Foss come to the podium to introduce those students who are receiving academic honors.
It is my pleasure to honor the following students who have achieved a 3.5 or higher GPA throughout their high school career. Students, please stand and stay standing when your name is called. Parents, please stand when your student's name is announced. Audience, please hold your applause until all names are announced. Alexandria Anderson, Kylan Anderson, Kendall Bardsley, Lillian Becker, Alexa Bird, Zoe Brown, Zachary Carr, Adam Clayton, Colton Eckhart, Shekinah Entinger, Noah Victor, Jackson Finnegan, Chad Fisher, Farah Foster, Isaiah Gaylord, Zachary Joyce, Talia Kent, Quinn Confers, Lucas Lambert, Cody Lampman, Samuel Lampman, Dominic Maddox, Colton Mayberry, Isaac Morrison, Michael Mulcairn, Matthew Newhofen, Jacob Pockle, Caleb Palmer, Henry Patzer, Connor Peterson, Carter Planbeck, Morgan Richter, Isabella Schoening, Carrie Shupin, Cameron Scarnulis, Roman Smith, Macy Sorgel, Dylan Sondag, Shaylee Stromgren, Jacqueline Weber-Cool, Tanner Williams, Kyle Wutkin. Congratulations to you all on this achievement. You may be seated. It is now my honor, my pleasure, to honor the following students who have achieved a 4.0 or higher GPA throughout their high school career. Taylor Akers, Audrey Arnold, Taryn Bertini, Jackson Goose, Brooklyn Hanshaw, Nathan Hughes, Henry Jacob, Mackenzie Kale, Jocelyn Lewis, Braden Liddick, Sydney Major, Delaney McMullen, Isabella Maloney, Samantha Parr, Nathan Perkins, Jerrianne Richardson, Margaret Russman, Tyler Stanley, and Jada Wilson. Congratulations to you all on your outstanding achievement. You may be seated. At this time, I'd like to introduce our activities director, Jeff Beeson.
It's my honor to introduce today's speaker. Our first speaker is Jada Wilson.
Can everyone understand me with a mask on? Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending the second graduation ceremony for the class of 2020. This is the third speech I have written for graduation, and thankfully the last. I wrote one for the governor's press conference and one for our graduation in May. But with all of the insanity that has transpired between then and now, I felt like I needed to better encapsulate how our senior year went. But first, we can start from our elementary school days. I feel like the whole class can remember the absolute devastation of losing our trip to the circus after it was snowed out in 5th grade. And I know all of the former band kids mourned the loss of our Adventureland concert in 8th grade, especially the kids who only stayed in band for the trip. You know who you are, Catherine. Show choir students, I know that you all recall the trip home from Pella last year, where we qualified for finals for the first time in years, but had to skip the performance to avoid a snowstorm. Track athletes, I'm really proud of you all for practicing last season without a track, knowing that you would have a brand new facility to run on this spring, only for it to be taken from you your senior year. To all of my spring athletes, I wish that I could have given you your last tennis match in a Glenwood uniform, your last high school golf tournament, your last track meet on the blue oval, or your last soccer game on a Glenwood field, even though Carrie and Kyle would still probably end up in a neck brace or on crutches. To my fine arts seniors, I would have given you your last show choir competition, band concert, speech performance, or music festival in a heartbeat, but that was just not in the cards for our class. I'm not going to stand up here and claim that we were all a tight-knit family through every step of the way, or that every single one of you adores me, because I just think that's really unrealistic. In all honesty, I believe that most of you probably won't give me a second thought after high school, which is entirely okay. That's just life. None of this changes the fact that we have spent a huge part of our lives making memories together in Glenwood. Through all of the good and all of the bad, we are, or were, the class of 2020. In our 4 years at Glenwood High School, we've had a basketball state championship, a track state championship, volleyball state qualifiers, tennis state semifinalists, swimming state qualifiers, FCCLA state officers and national qualifiers, a show choir grand championship, numerous all-staters in band, choir, and speech, and so many more. And I'm extremely proud to call myself a member of the class of 2020, especially since the classes of 2019 and 2021 make us look like angels. My first two speeches further touched on all of our losses and included a bit more poignancy, but honestly, I feel like we're all ready to move on by now. The last time we walked through the high school halls was 6 months ago, and it was heartbreaking at first, but college, or whatever else your post-high school plans are, is right around the corner. It's both exhilarating and terrifying. You're excited to move on and gain more independence than you've ever had, but scared because now you're faced with real-world problems. Bills, jobs, rent, food, and student loans, just to name a few. To top it off, in addition to the baby steps of adulting that everyone else had to take, we must transition in the midst of a global pandemic, an economic crisis, and a race war. If you know me at all, you're probably expecting me to digress into some type of political rant, but don't worry, I'll save that for my social media. I'm aware that I'm only 18 years old, roughly the same age as all of you, so you are by no means obligated to listen to any advice that I give, but the strongest suggestion I have for you all is to live. Learn about things that you don't understand, especially ones pertaining to real-world topics like race, disease, economy, and culture. Travel, meet new people, and listen to new perspectives. Ask yourself, are you listening to understand, or are you listening to formulate a response? Too often, we already have our replies lined up in our heads, especially when our own beliefs are called into question. Normalize being wrong or changing your opinion when confronted with new information. As a perfectionist, I spent 18 years of my life terrified of making mistakes, and it was so not worth it. It's okay to change your mind when you learn new things, and it's okay to be wrong and to make mistakes. It's all a part of growing up. I urge you all, no matter what you believe, to learn and formulate your own opinions for everything in life, not just for trending political issues. I know that it can be daunting, but reach beyond your parents, families, and friends' perspectives and find out what you truly believe in, even if it's different. Learn about what you want and why you want it. And once you do, you need to fight like heck to earn it. Knowledge is the key to open any door, but without action, you're probably going to be stuck sitting there for a while. Thanks, and congratulations to the class of 2020.
Thank you, Jada. Our next speaker is Zachary Joyce.
It seems we are nearing the end of our consistent time together. I thought it would be best to take a moment and reflect on our years spent as the class of 2020. For those of us who started out as youngsters in kindergarten, playing kickball or pretending you were some sort of creature, we really had it all. We sat in the cafeteria at the Captain Crunch table, or that weird bunny who we never figured out the name of. Mrs. Klein taught us how to compete through her plastic feet bracelet system. Boy, the days when I received one of those to add to the collection were surely the best. We would walk around the halls flaunting our bracelet like it was more important than McDonald's kids meal toy we had received last night. We were one of the last classes to get a Halloween party. We paraded through the halls in our costumes, proud of the person we could be for one night. We got to make Valentine's Day boxes for our classmates and share candy. Through all this partying, we were able to develop friendships that would last a lifetime. We then moved on to West Elementary. The school officials introduced us to the dreaded PACER test that stuck around with us until senior year. We played sharks and minnows with the roller carts that were sure to amputate a finger, though we never complained. We got a wonderful surprise when Mr. Sylvester would bring out the giant parachute and we would play that alligator game. We watched in the gym as the cheerleaders led our homecoming ceremony and dreamed to be one of the high schoolers one day. The Heads Up 7 game grew more competitive as we got older. After all, it determined who got to stand at the front of the line. The class of 2020 soon found themselves in their 5th grade year. We had gotten old enough to attend science camp and spend our first night together. I think everyone remembers that night with the campfire and our counselors springing out of the woods to frighten us. We also got to participate in a walk-in in which we got to party through an entire night. We were the queens and kings of West. We had run that playground, including the spinning yellow death thing, for nearly 3 years, only to find out recess would soon be gone. Our entrance into middle school was a frightening one at best. The new class system really took everyone by surprise, and don't even get me started on the lockers. Mr. Killian gave us a strong foundation for our history classes to come, using his humor as well as his Roman sword. Mrs. Finnegan and Mrs. Howard helped us develop our reading and writing skills, as well as our social skills. I'd never read a book like Hatchet before. I don't think any of us had. Mr. Berkey introduced us to the wonders of science through his awesome experiments. Then the realization set in that this was our last year of recess. We constantly bickered about what was too rough in our games of soccer and football. I even heard that the term grass fairy was molded here. Our second year of middle school brought something we had never experienced before, the combining of language arts and science. Mrs. Bledsoe and Mrs. Fisher really put their necks on the line for this one. Combining 2 classes meant taking 2 periods out of the day, and boy, was that a step of our normal. For those of us that remember daily journals and Duolingo, well, I'll leave it at that. 7th grade was also the start of our amazing athletes' reign. Football and track took their throne soon enough, with the rest of the sports sure to follow. We also got the pleasure of meeting Coach Foss, who was the 8th grade coach that year. As soon as the 8th grade year arrived, so did the fear of high school. We were yet again royalty of the school. Everyone looked up to us, and we were told constantly to keep setting a good example. I think for the most part we accomplished this. We had our Oveus group that we met with and our junior buddies who helped us get used to the idea of being a high schooler. Mrs. Laufelbein initiated her meetings with us to further our comfort in taking the next step and even help us with our schedules. Our class then set our eyes on the prize and entered high school. I never knew a circle could be more complicated and frightening, to be honest. It was a miracle that every single staff member and most students were there to help. Even though we were low on the totem pole, no one was unwilling to lend us a helping hand. We soon familiarized ourselves with our classes and began to make new friends. Most of us took classes we had never even knew existed and fell in love. Mr. Joyner introduced us all to engineering while Mrs. Moore showed us the culinary world. Mr. Clark elegantly paraded with his band while Mrs. Johnson instilled real-world tactics within us. Going into sophomore year, we began to take harder classes, and realizing that we were no longer the bottom class, began to hold our heads higher. We started to rise in the sports world and make upperclassmen wish they had worked a little harder. Coach Foss helped us become level-headed individuals in the weight room, while Mr. Schulte instilled the same values in his PE class. I think we can all extend a token of appreciation towards Coach Foss. Coach Foss, you are beyond a doubt a man of God. Your will and determination to develop our characters as well as our bodies is something I will never forget. Let's all give him one last 3 claps. Junior year soon came faster than we expected, and we were now upperclassmen. Junior year brought with it the ACT, and the flood we all knew hit closer than expected. We banded together as a class and as a community to do what needed to be done. To be honest, I don't think we will ever get the idea of having to sign out to use a porta potty out of our heads, but it is what it is. That summer, our new complex was being built. Just a year after a devastating flood, Glen was rebuilding itself to become something stronger. That complex, the very one we reside in now, was and will continue to be a symbol of rebirth for our community. Senior year was here. I don't think any of us thought it would turn out the way it has. We finally got to leave the building early and show our dedication to the community through our work. We were all expecting a normal, smooth ascent out of high school into the real world like all the classes before us. The world had different plans. Our final year as classmates and members of Glenwood High School was going to be one like no other. The fall brought joy and excitement as our football, volleyball, and eventually basketball dominated the scene. We all went to state and cheered on the girls as they brought terror to the court. Soon after our basketball excitement was put on hold, we got the news of a foreign disease rampaging its way throughout the world. I don't believe that any of us really thought it would affect us. We all remember the Ebola outbreak and how serious that was. But the thought of something like that happening in the United States was unrealistic. The United States seemed invincible. The home we had grown up in was unbreachable. COVID-19 obviously humbled us. The virus spread into the United States, and sure enough, we got the devastating news that we would have to shut down the school. I remember sitting in Mr. Coakley's classroom as he read the news, wondering if I would ever see any of my classmates again. The email from Mr. Embry proved to confirm my suspicions. Although providing hope of returning to school, Mr. Embry would now have the task of keeping Glenwood under control. We all applaud you, Mr. Embry. You did an excellent job, and for that, this community is in your debt. On behalf of the class of 2020, I want to extend my thanks to everyone that helped us become who we are today. We had the honor of having teachers who taught for more than just a paycheck. Whether you're a teacher, staff member, parent, or stranger, you all played a vital role in developing the future leaders of the world. I want my final message to my classmates to be this. We have been through everything together. A scary campfire, the loss of recess, state championships, a flood. We will not let a virus take us down. We are more than COVID-19. The only way the virus wins is if we let it define us. We are the class of 2020. This is not a setback, but our chance to prove to the world what we can do. Step up and take a hold of your life. The world is waiting, and it's ours for the taking. I would like to share one more story with you before we go. For those of you who don't know what Apollo 13 was a space venture that resulted in the severe damage of the spacecraft and the endangerment of those inside. Although faced with overwhelming odds, the astronauts along with the people on the mainland were able to get the crew back to safely. During this event, Flight Director Gene Kranz overhears two NASA directors discussing the low survival chances for the crippled spacecraft. "I know what the problems are, Henry," one of them says. "This could be the worst disaster NASA has ever experienced." Kranz's response to this will forever live in infamy. "With all due respect, sir," Kranz intervenes, "I believe this is going to be our finest hour. Thank you."
Vice President Steyer and Board of Directors, having met the graduation requirements as set forth by the Glenwood Community School District's Board of Education and the state of Iowa, it is my pleasure to recommend that you present each of this year's graduates with their Glenwood Community School High School diploma.
Jada Brooke Wilson. Zachary Michael Joyce. Taylor Lene Akers. Sarah Madison Anderson. Kylan Christine Anderson. Ivy Marie Anglin. Gavin Doyle Arbogast. Brooklyn Taylor Atwood. Luke Matthew Barrett. Owen Eugene Belt. Taryn Ray Bertini. Alexis Marie Bird. Dalton Trey Book. Ada Esmeralda Bajorn Elliott. Ethan Ray Bosch. Trinity Joe Bothwell. Zoe Josephine Brown. Cheyenne Jolynn Byers. Xander Ray Sarda. Zachary Michael Carr. Justin Michael Chase. Zachary Ryan Chase. Drake Orville Clark. Jared William Clark. Noah Aiden Clark. Ryan William Clark. Adam Christopher Clayton. Matthew Lee Cornick. Skylar Starr DeWall. Colton Kyle Eckhart. Logan Kenneth Eichelberger. Brandon Carter Eisman. Shekinah Ann Entinger. Brianna K. Marie Epperson. Jackson Cole Finnegan. Chad Logan Fisher. Devin James Stolting Fletcher. Farah Jeanette Foster. Taylor Savannah Free. Cole Harvey Dean Foose. Isaiah Matthew Gaylord. Brendan Michael Godbout. Jackson Lewis Goose. Sophia Rose Grossall. Joel Matthew Gray. Catherine Ann Gunderson. Brooklyn Ashley Henshaw. Nathaniel Jean Hardesty. Haley Diane Hawes. Dylan James Hop. Nathan Allen Hughes. Jacob William Hewitt. Ashley Kate Johnson. Kyle Christian Jorgensen. Corey Andrew Julick. Mackenzie Marie Kale. Quinn Rochelle Converse. Cody Lee Lampman. Samuel Lee Lampman. Jarek John Landis. Grace Elizabeth Latimer. Rennie Anna Leahy. Damon Alexander Lefevre. Jocelyn Marie Lewis. Braden Elizabeth Liddick. Austin Matthew Lincoln. Calvin Bruce Little. Dominic Jordan Maddox. Sydney Elizabeth Major. Colton Lyle Mayberry. Aiden Robert McCormick. Dylan Joe McIntyre. Samuel Miguel Robert McIntyre. Madsen Bryant McManigal. Delaney Claire McMullen. Isabella Blanca Maloney. Alexis Marie Morris. Allison Hope Morris. Macy Lou Morris. Isaac Jason Morrison. Michael James Mulcairn. Matthew Jordan Newhoffen. Trevor Ray Nielsen. Alexander David Nusser. Jacob Edward Pockle. John David Palmer. Samantha Lynn Parr. Henry Benjamin Patzer. Nathan Miller Perkins. Curtis James Pestle. Carter David Flambeck. Jacqueline Sue Postalwaite. Colton James Prindle. Jerry-Ann Elizabeth Richardson. Morgan Ray Richter. Dominic Ramon Robertson Jr. Kayla Kimberly Ronfeld. Emily Martha Rouse. Margaret Helen Russman. Paige Elizabeth Reichs. Colin Michaels Shaven. Carrie Renee Shupin. Haley Auburn Sell. Sasha Alejandra Sinesio. Roman Elijah Smith. Macy K. Sorgel. Dylan James Sondag. Tyler Edward Stanley. Mackenzie Morgan Strike. Shaylee Lorraine Stromgren. Emily Rose Turner. Nathan Dwayne Vinton. Jacqueline Danielle Weber-Cool. Brady Matthew Wedham. Mary Sue Abigail Weinberg. Hannah Grace Wells. Seth Michael Wentz. Harlan Anthony Wetterland. Jara Joe Williams. Tanner David Williams. Madison Elaine Wilson. Kyle Jaden Watkin.
Graduates, please stand. Mr. Embray will turn the student's tassel. Please do the same. You may be seated. Class of 2020, as we close out today's graduation, I want to leave you with some final thoughts. There are only so many things that can be said to a group of special young adults like you. I'm sure you've heard all the many of these words of encouragement over the past several months. Never stop being the authentic you, whomever that may be. This is what made this group so memorable. So many things will change over time, like friends, jobs, locations, and circumstances. When you feel overwhelmed, center back to your time here and what served as the foundation of becoming your authentic self. As you reflect on this time, remember this journey was about you, but you were never alone. Those people that were with you deserve some appreciation. To all the parents, grandparents, relatives, teachers, friends, and community, thank you for your support of these young adults on this journey. Class of 2020, be you, be kind, and be Rams United. I want to take a minute to thank everybody who made this possible. We decided on Wednesday to have it outside, and it's pretty awesome. I'm so impressed. I want to thank our custodians, our secretarial staff, all the administrators that have helped put this together, Mr. Gordon Woodrow for help with the audio. We can't do special things like this without all the support. So I want to take a moment and thank all those people. Thank you so much. And to end this great outdoor ceremony before it rains, ladies and gentlemen, students, family, and friends, it is with great pride that I introduce to you the class of 2020. Congratulations. You can stand.